Hey guys, you're watching Just Hoop Talk podcast on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and to our podcast on all streaming platforms.
And welcome to another Just Hoop Talk podcast. This is episode number 2, and today we'll be going over the Western Conference. That's right, the Western Conference, top to bottom, talking about who we like, who we don't like, and then even giving our playoff picture too. So I think you're going to get two different sides of the Western Conference. We're going to talk a little bit about some of last year, the teams, and give an outlook on what we think this year, including some new up-and-comers, man. There's some teams in the work.
Well, someone's going to fall out, and the Lakers are going to be in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
So someone's going to be out, someone new is going to be in. There's going to be a change, so let's just go over what we think is kind of.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the Warriors were the best team last year, but with free agency, there was a lot of changes with that.
Yeah.
You know, they had the injury to Klay Thompson. They lost Kevin Durant, added D'Angelo Russell in that deal. So what do you think about the Warriors this year and their chances to repeat?
I mean, it's hard to say. A lot of it's kind of pending on injuries for them. Mm-hmm. When is Klay back? Can Steph stay healthy for an entire season? Because I think it's going to be a large load for him to carry, and he's never really carried that large of a load, you know?
Yeah, you think back to that season where he dropped 400 threes, where he broke the record. That was the last time we saw Steph Curry carry a team, and I think he had some ankle injuries that year too, and that was something that was in his career before.
Right.
And you bring in a new addition like a D'Angelo. Can he replicate what Klay does, not only on the offensive side, but the defensive side too, where I think they might take a miss? Yeah. And kind of getting Draymond back to that Olympic state too. Yeah. You know, and I think with Draymond, it's important because he had to take a step back when KD came. Yep. And he's going to have to now take an even more step forward with Klay and Kevin both out.
And I think it's important to keep in mind, Draymond's older. Draymond played 4 years at Michigan State. Mm-hmm. I don't know his exact age, but I know he's older. And it's tough, man, when you get 5 NBA final runs in a row. Yeah. That takes a lot on your body. So to try to duplicate that again with less firepower on your team is in a tougher conference even this year. It's going to be tough, man.
Yeah, it really is going to be tough. And I think that there's those new additions, man. We talked a little bit about on the first podcast, but the Kawhi and Paul George coming over for the Clippers, and LeBron and AD coming in with the Lakers. Let's talk about that mid-tier, because those teams, like the Clippers, were gutting it out for that last seed last year in the playoffs. But now those are some of the upper echelon teams, which will kind of challenge some of those top seeds in the West. What do you think about the new additions to the West?
So we're looking at the Clippers. We're at 8 last year, and now we're going to be I'm looking at them in the top 3 this year.
Yeah, no doubt.
So doing a complete shift of roles is pretty wild. And then I think you got to look at the Lakers being in that top 3 as well.
And it's going to bring a different dynamic to this Western Conference. It's always been tough. Yeah. And the star power has been there, but now it's even elevated more past that. Now every game for these teams, they got to play each other 3-4 times. Yeah. It's going to beat down, and one injury can change the whole dynamic of the Western Conference now.
Yep. I think what's really wild to look at the West is you look at the very bottom, and you look at the Phoenix Suns. They're not a terrible basketball team.
No, not at all.
A guy with Devin Booker who can get buckets. DeAndre Ayton?
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. They brought in Rubio too.
Yeah, they got Rubio there. So I think they'll probably still finish at the bottom of the conference, but they're not an easy win by any stretch, dude. And looking at who else was at the bottom last year, the Dallas Mavericks, they could potentially be a playoff team this year.
Man, I love what Dallas brings to the table, and I'm sure you'll hear me talk a lot more about Luka and his game here. But I think that with the addition of Porzingis and Luka, they have the right cornerstones for a franchise. Yeah. And I think that they're building it the right way, and those two pieces right there are going to be there for a while. But it's gonna make that entire conference really, really competitive. Yeah. Really where I think that you'll see is I think Memphis will be down there too. They're a young team with Ja Morant. I love that draft pick. Yeah. But I think that they're going to be at the bottom. But when you got that Minnesota, Sacramento, those teams that have always kind of been there, they're the young teams, when are they going to take that next step and fight for that last playoff spot? You got Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota, and they've had a lot of changes there. But when does he take that next step and really start to make that push for kind of like the Kings are doing right now?
Yeah, I think you look at Minnesota and you look at them as a team that has no business being that low in a conference. Like with the type of talent that they have, a player like Karl Anthony Towns, who's on the verge of being a superstar. Like that's what you look for when you're building a team, right? A young team. You got a young future superstar who's in his 4th, 5th year, kind of coming into his own. Like they should be in that final 8.
They
like
should, man.
Looking at them on paper, but knowing their history and knowing what we've gotten from them, you're probably going to put them down in 12, 13, 14.
Yeah. I think it's kind of you looking at the same thing with the Kings, man. You would love to see that next level from Fox and Buddy Hield and just the overall talent. Bagley coming into the equation now. And you love to kind of see them take that next steps. It's always felt like they're a vet away. Yeah. They re-signed Harrison Barnes. They added somebody like Trevor Ariza who's going to bring that veteran presence to the locker room. Yeah. Dwayne Dedman from Atlanta, he's on there too now. So I think that you have those additions, which in essence should make them a better team, but it's so competitive top down now.
Really
like
is,
even a team as terrible as OKC.
Yeah.
They got Chris Paul, Danilo. And then who's your favorite out of this? Like who's like your dark horse? Because I mean we haven't even really touched on some of those oldie but goodies like Denver, Utah, Houston. I think
even like we haven't talked about the Spurs, man. Every year we talk about the Spurs like, nah, this is it, they're done. They're probably not going to make the playoffs, and somehow Pop pulls another player out of his hat that can contribute, that can play defense, that fits well in their system.
Right.
And somehow they make it into the playoffs with 40-something, 50 wins.
It might be this year. It might be DeJounte Murray, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him. Yeah,
he's ready to kind of take that next level with DeRozan and LaMarcus there too. Yeah. I feel like they're always around that 50-win marker, like no matter what, dude.
Yeah, you can't count them out.
That's awesome, dude. So I think, what do you think about, one dynamic that, I think everybody talks about is like Houston getting there to the Western Conference Finals and losing. Like they get there every year and they got rid of Chris Paul. Obviously, we talked about him in OKC now. But with Westbrook there, it kind of brings a different dynamic in. I don't know what side of the fence you're on with that D'Antoni, that type of offense. But what are your thoughts on like Houston just moving forward with that Westbrook, Harden, Eric Gordon combo?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just got worse defensively. And that was kind of their Achilles heel. I don't know if they were missing more offensive firepower. Like, you look at what they added to their team. Like, did they get better? Like, they got better offensively, probably. But I don't know if that's necessarily what they needed, Right. Like, I don't know if they needed more buckets or more assists or more dribbles.
Right. It's like
that's what they got.
They said they were built to beat the Warriors, right? So their blueprint obviously was that. But I think getting a player like Westbrook takes them to, like, overkill on things that they have. The one thing I think that it does bring is there's a little bit less pressure on Harden now. Yeah. I think that there's going to be way less of a drop-off. Like, with Chris Paul, he's an efficient scorer, but he's not a great scorer. Right. But when Westbrook comes into the game, he brings that element of, like, dude, the minute Harden goes off, you still have a starting caliber
second scorer,
team.
Right?
Yeah. Like, and there's really no drop-off. So I'm interested to see, like, how that all plays out in their fight towards trying to win a championship,
I think the fact that they're friends, they go back, they've played together before, like, hopefully they can figure out how to blend that. Because if they can blend that, that's a special tandem.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
You're talking about two dudes that can just completely take over a game.
Yeah.
But that remains to be seen.
It does, dude. And, I think that there's so much talent overall. It's like, you start to think of that, and they're also becoming the older guys. I think both of them are around their late 20s, early 30s. Yeah. And there's some of the younger, we talk about the Phoenix, the teams that don't get hurt. What are they going to do? And one team that's kind of on my radar as a low-key, could be a playoff team, is the Pelicans. Yeah. Because they have that young core from the Lakers that kind of went through the growing pains already. Yep. Then you add such a dynamic player like a Zion. Yeah. Dude, the defense on that team, Lonzo, Drew Holiday, I think they could be a little sneaky.
I think Drew Holiday is super slept on.
Dude, man.
And I think Lonzo's going to flourish there without the pressure of being in LA. He's got a bunch of people he can throw lobs to now. Yep. I think he's going to flourish there. And then Ingram, I'm assuming Ingram's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. And contract year too.
Yeah, he's going to have something to prove. So, The West is tough, man. It's
Dude,
just,
and they even
tough.
the one thing that I think that a lot of people overlook is that they added 2 vets too. They added Derek Favors and JJ Redick.
Yeah.
And it's like, those guys both have playoff experience and they bring that type of leadership to the team. It's like you have the youth, but then you also have like that veteran core.
I saw something the other day. JJ Redick has never missed the playoffs in his career.
Dude, that's such a crazy stat. And he's been in the league how many years? 13 years, something like that?
Yeah, something crazy.
It's kind of crazy, man. Well, let's do this. Let's get into like top 8, man. I want to hear your thoughts, and I'll give you my top 8. But I want to hear your top 8, and we'll just go through it afterwards.
So I'm going Clippers number 1.
Yep.
Lakers number 2. I'm going Jazz. That's my wild horse. I'm like the Jazz.
You like the Jazz, huh?
Yeah, I like the Jazz. I think they're just tough defensively. I like the what are they? The Nuggets at 4.
Nuggets at 4.
And this is gonna sound crazy, but I'm putting the Trailblazers at 5.
Yep.
And the Rockets at 6.
Ooh,
yeah. I know.
Okay.
And then I'm knocking the Spurs out. I'm putting the who else am I? What else do I have left?
You got 2 more.
See, this is how crazy it is.
You got Golden State in there yet? You said the
Yeah,
Warriors.
I was gonna say the Warriors and the Kings. I'm putting the
Warriors
Kings
and the Kings.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just looking at like some of the people I'm leaving out, some of the teams. I'm like, man, I didn't put the Mavs in there.
Mavs
and they're gonna
aren't
be
in
tough,
there.
man.
Yeah, Pelicans. So okay.
There's some good teams that are getting.
Dude, so I think
there's gonna be good, probably 45 to maybe even 50-win teams that are gonna get left out, man.
Yeah.
That's
insane. Like last year, there was all 48 win teams.
Yeah.
No team under 48 wins.
Yeah, the Clippers almost had 50 wins and we're in the 8th seed.
Yeah,
it's
that's
crazy.
insane, man.
And I think this year it's going to be the same, if not 50 wins,
Dude, I think you're right on. I think I want to put Lakers at number 1. I think they're the top seed.
Yeah.
But I got a feeling that the injuries and taking breaks will probably put them at like a 2-3.
I think they're gonna rest their guys.
Yeah.
I don't think they're concerned with being number 1.
I think as long as they have a top seed, he's always kind of been like that.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
So my number 1 seed, I think Denver takes that next step.
Yeah.
I think Denver will be that number 1 seed. They'll play hard, and they don't really have like superstar players. That they have just an overall gritty team. I think they get number 1.
Especially for the regular season. Like if I see anyone playing hard with something to prove, it's probably gonna be them.
Yeah. So I got Denver number 1, Lakers number 2, Clippers number 3. I think Clippers are right there near them, and I know Paul George is out for the first month, but I think Kawhi is strong enough to lead that team, and obviously they were great enough last year to get an 8 seed without him. I like them at number 3, and then number 4, I got Houston.
Okay.
I think Houston's just that veteran team. They know what it takes to win.
So same spot they were in last year.
Same spot. Same spot. I think that they're there, and then I think right underneath them is Portland.
Okay.
I love them, and I think getting Whiteside for them, like they don't really have a huge drop off losing Nurkic.
Yeah.
So I think for them, they're my number 5.
Mm-hmm.
6, Utah. I think.
Okay.
So I got them a little. I know they're kind of your dark horse. I got them a little bit lower, but I think they might take that. I'm interested. I'm very curious to see how they respond with their new talent. They got Conley. They got Bogdanovich from the Pacers. So. Right. I want to see how they respond with that.
Yeah.
Number 7, I got the Pelicans.
Okay.
I think the Pelicans come in there and really surprise people this year. And I think that they have a lot of talent that's been kind of through the grid already. Yeah. And they're ready to take that next step. They're just like a little dark horse to me.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, man, I think it's between either the Spurs, the Mavs, or the Kings.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I could see any one of them doing it. But mine personally, gotta go with the Mavs.
I know you're big on the Mavs.
Big on the Mavs, man.
You have a hot take on Luka too.
I do. We'll talk about that later.
At some point.
Yeah, we'll get to it, man. And I think that they're gonna put it all together. That's a young team. I think that they are missing some like core pieces that might change that. Like the Kings, where they're structured, they're a little bit more dialed in. But that's my 8, man.
Yeah. All right.
So. We'll see how it goes, man. What are your thoughts on the 8s, both of ours? What are you thinking? Because we have pretty much everything similar, but you got the Kings in there. Yeah. And you have who else did you have different than me?
The Kings, and then I think they were pretty similar.
Yeah, you have the Kings in there, and then
I didn't have the Pelicans, so I think we just flipped the Kings and the Pelicans.
Yeah, I have the Pelicans and the Mavs in there.
Oh yeah, I didn't have the Spurs.
That's right. Yeah. No, I didn't have the Spurs
either.
You
didn't have the Spurs either.
I didn't have the Spurs either.
Well, neither one of us have Oklahoma City. That's for sure.
No.
So we're just talking about who's not getting in. Neither one of us have Oklahoma City. Phoenix.
Oh no, you had somebody. You had somebody out. The Rockets were really low. You should have wrote this down, man.
Yeah, I know.
See, here we go, fumbling on the second one. It's all good. I think overall though, like those top seeds you're going to see come out of the West are going to be either obviously the Lakers, Clippers, Denver. I feel like those for me are the strong three. Like, if anybody else is in the NBA Finals outside of those guys, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Who do you think comes out the West? You got to pick one team come out the West. Who do you think it is? Right
now, I just like from what I've seen. If the Lakers are at full strength, I don't really see anybody beating them.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, I haven't seen the Clippers as a whole, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing the Lakers is like, man, they look tough. And LeBron has everything he needs around him. He has his shooters. He has his big man he can throw lobs to. And his game is super refined right now.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I mean, just watching him, like he's controlling every aspect of the game, you know?
And I think they added the right pieces.
Yeah.
There's times when you get those duos and you don't add the right pieces, like kind of like how they set up with all shooters in Miami back when the big three were there. I think what they did right is they got that size.
Yeah.
You know, they got a whole bunch of length around AD. They let him play at the 4.
Yep.
They let LeBron play point guard.
Yep.
And that's going to throw teams off. They got the shooter, Danny Green, out there, man. They added those veteran pieces. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be a really good fit for them. It's just about how they mesh, you know, over the course of the season. If they don't go, so say I think the Lakers obviously are probably going to come out the West too. If they don't go, who's your number 2 team?
The Clippers.
Clippers?
I like the Clippers. I think next year the Clippers will be probably the best team in the league.
Yeah.
I think this year it's just going to take time, you know? Like Paul George coming back, them kind of meshing, them figuring things out. We rarely see teams put a team together and it works right away.
Right.
I think the only time we saw that was with like Kevin Durant in Golden State.
I for some reason I don't necessarily like the Paul George and Kawhi pairing. Everybody's comparing it to Michael Scottie type of comparison, and they're like, oh, the defense because Pat Bev and Montrezl Harrell, like they're saying, oh, it's going to be like this huge great defensive team, but I kind of feel like they play the same style of ball. Yeah. Kawhi, like on the offensive side, especially like. I think that Kawhi is a quiet 25. Yeah. I think Paul George is a quiet 25. Right. And I think that where even Kawhi is a killer, it's like I don't know how that works because neither of them is like a dynamic, true playmaking drive / kick it out.
I think Paul George would be more in that role. And I see kind of Kawhi being the guy off the ball a little bit. Yeah. I think sometimes he dribbles too much.
Yeah.
Like he does a little bit. He doesn't see the court as well as most people who dominate the ball. I kind of see it like with Siakam last year.
Yeah.
Like Kawhi at times would take over, but at times he deferred a lot to Siakam.
That's true too.
Like a lot of people don't talk about that last year in the finals, especially in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like Siakam took over.
Yeah, man. There was games where he just went off.
He took over.
He had a 40-pointer one game, right?
Yeah. And so I think Kawhi is kind of comfortable off the ball, and he gets his buckets in spots, you know? Like, I don't really see him ever averaging 28 points a game or anything like that, right. You know? But I could see Paul George getting some, putting up some numbers.
I don't know, and that's because they don't have a true point guard on the team, too. They got Pat Bev, and then Lou Will comes in off the bench. Right. I just don't, and I don't really feel like they have a true center either. They got Zubac from the Lakers last year, but like I don't really feel like they have a true like if you you put them up against the Lakers right now.
They're gonna have a problem with Anthony Davis for sure.
They are. They're gonna have a problem. Who's gonna guard LeBron? They'll put Paul George, but I mean, then you got Danny Green open, then you got like the rest of Kuzma. Like they still have size top to bottom.
That's another thing about the Lakers too is Kuzma. We haven't seen him kind of going in the mix yet. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. We'll see how it goes. I think the West is gonna play out. I think kind of everybody's on the Lakers, and I think that a lot of questions remain about these new pieces, the Houstons, the Clippers, just the new additions to those powerhouse teams and where everybody fits because it is a tight West. Yeah. Like if one of your stars misses 10 to 15 games, that could be a difference between a 2 seed and out the playoffs. Yeah. You know, as we saw, there's all those 48 win teams. Like you miss difference between 55 wins and 45 wins, you're out.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. It's gonna be. I mean, every night is gonna be something like. To watch though, which is great for us as fans. Yep. And I think a great team is gonna get a couple great teams are gonna get left out, man. Yeah. some franchises that are like, yo, we got a great team this year.
Yeah.
And they're not going to make the playoffs.
That's true. And I know one of us, our picks at the top 4 or 5 is going to be out of the playoffs at the end of the year, you know?
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, exciting Western Conference coming up. I think it'll be must-watch TV almost at all times, probably more so than it ever has been.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm hyped.
Yeah. All right, Just Hoop Talk Volume 2, we're out.
Yes, sir.
For more NBA, college, and hoops coverage, be sure to subscribe to Just Hoop Talk Podcast on YouTube and all streaming platforms.